Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are listening to the Outspoken Hour with me, Rukhsana Hussain. I'm your host for today, and with me we have our guest, Brother Gul Rehman. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for having me on.
So today we're going to be sharing about Outspoken's vision and mission and the work that Outspoken have been doing since 2015. So hopefully you'll learn a little bit more about our organisation, what we do, and inshallah what we intend to do moving forward. We would like you to interact with us. So if you want to call in, you have any comments, any questions, we're going to try our best to answer them for you and share with you anything else that we can. So if you want to call in, then the number is 0116 4822 or the mobile number for the text and WhatsApp 077 48 855 055. So please do interact with us. Do call in, any comments, if you've heard about us already, if you know what we do, if you've been supported by Outspoken in the past, or if you've supported us and volunteered for us, then do ring in and share your experiences with us as well. So we're going to be talking about our vision first of all, and it was really about sharing what we wanted to do in society, and it was about the change that we wanted to see. So the vision for Outspoken is to inspire communities to share their lived experience, to offer a safe space where everyone feels heard and understood, to improve mental health and well-being for everyone involved. So that includes the staff, the volunteers, and all the people that we interact with, our clients, our service users, our participants, whatever word you would like to use. We also want to co-deliver, co-produce initiatives. So they are all community-led. So we ask the community what it is that they want, and then we deliver projects with them involved. So we don't just decide on projects and make up a plan and go ahead and deliver it. We ask everybody what they need in the community at that time, how we can best deliver it, and we get them involved in the delivery as well. So that's what we do in terms of Outspoken and our sort of vision as a brief, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. But first of all, I'd like to ask Brother Gul, what would you say is the most important part of our vision and why?
I think, I know this may sound a little bit of a cop-out, but I think the whole vision in itself is something that I consider important in its kind of totality. I wouldn't really want to kind of say X, Y, and Z was an important part. If I was given a certain amount of time to dedicate to, say, for example, to inspire communities to share lived experiences, or to want to empower women and continue championing the younger generation, or promoting with everyone how to share and think, etc. I would spend exactly the equal amount of time, because I think what you mentioned, these are absolutely important elements in our communities. They're inspiring, they're engaging, they really get the community kind of want to be a part of what is happening out there. So I wouldn't want to discriminate in any way. But I think everything that you do within Outspoken is critical, it's important, it's something that benefits the community as a whole, our diverse and amazing community that we live in.
Thank you for that. And I agree. I think you're right in saying that every one of those points that we've made are important. And if we were to take any one of those out, we wouldn't really be able to deliver what we want to deliver for the society, the community that we work in, because actually what they need is all of those things. They need to be felt understood. They need to be heard. They need to be improving their mental health and physical health.
Absolutely.
They need to be looking at the initiatives that are being delivered. If they're not purposeful for them, then are we wasting our time? So absolutely every single one of those. And just one I wanted to touch on, because I think it's something that I personally do a lot of, and I think that I find with you, Brother Gul, as well, you do share this as well, is that we share our lived experiences. So a lot of the things, we don't call ourselves experts, but what we do say is we are experts of our own experience. And when we share our experiences, we do talk to other people about, this is what happened to me, this is what I tried to do, and this is what the outcome was. And what we're not saying is that people have to do what we did. What we're saying is this is what we tried. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And it really helps people, I think, to understand that they're not on their own, that they aren't the only one going through the same thing as maybe what we've been through, and there are other people living similar lives to them as well, and similar experiences that might be able to support them. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, it's like, for example, someone who survived cancer and they've come out of it and they're back to normal, and then they want to, be a part of an organization that helps people with cancer research, and Macmillan and these kind of organizations, or if you've gone through a state of depression or whatever other kind of issue, you might want to join the Samaritans or any other organization. So I think we kind of try and do what we kind of do for the community because of our shared experiences, right?
Yeah.
And we can only use the kind of experiences that we've had. As you said, we are not experts in what we do, but what we have gone through is something that we can utilize and support the community with, in the best kind of endeavors that we can.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that what I always say to a lot of women that I work with is, I can only be the best at being myself. I can't try and be somebody else. Well, I can try and be somebody else, but I can't be the best version of them, because they are them and I am me. So I think it goes back to that. My experience is my experience. I value that Absolutely. As an individual myself, but I would like to use that experience to support other people if I can. And I think that Outspoken is a lot to do with that. And at the core of it, it is about those lived experiences. And how do you support each other through our own compassion, empathy and non-judgment, and support others to really listen to them and understand them. So 2015, we started Outspoken. That's when all this journey started. And it was a time when I really wanted to do something different. I'd been working since the age of 15. I'd done lots of different jobs. And I got to the point in life when I thought, you know what? I've actually financed quite a lot of people's lives. I've supported a lot of people. And usually it's money that they want. But actually, I want to do something different. Do you agree? Yeah, money seems to be quite an important thing in the world, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, in the current climate that we're living in, money is, that's king, isn't it, really, at the moment?
Yeah, and I always say that actually, when I earn money, or when we've got money, actually it feeds the belly. That's what I say. But actually, what community work does is it feeds the soul. And I was looking for that in 2015. I wanted something more than just, sort of working in the day, getting home, having your dinner, going to bed, and the same routine thing every single day. So that's where Outspoken started for me. So you've been part of this journey as well for the last 7 years, Brother Gul. You started with us quite early on. There's a lot of people who've been involved since, but actually you came in right at that sort of beginning, when we had mainly Syrian refugee brothers and sisters coming to Leicester with their children, their families, and they were trying to rebuild their shattered lives and try and restart something in Leicester. And we played a part in that. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that kind of time back in 2015, 2016, when we were doing the social Saturdays at City Retreat and we were supporting Syrian families? Why did you join us?
2015. I can't even remember what I was doing in 2015 yesterday, actually. So going back in 2015. I think one of my earliest memories of having worked with yourself, I think, goes back to this project with the Syrian refugees. And I remember every weekend I'll be out there with the kids. At that time, this was about 7 years ago, right? So my youngest was, she was about 6, 7, and then the older one was, around 10, 11. And I used to take them out. We used to do activities, and it was just outdoorsy kind of thing. And as I said, I can't remember how we initially kind of touched base, how we kind of made contact. But my earliest memories were being at the City Retreat with my children, and kind of just helping out with these refugees that had kind of come to our city. And one of the primary reasons why I kind of got involved at that point was because I wanted to get my children kind of involved, even at that young age, not just involved, but just to appreciate what's going on out there, what they can do for people who are not as privileged as them, right? We live in, we mollycoddle and we kind of give everything and anything for our children, right? So they don't have that experience and they don't have that understanding, especially at a young age. So this was for me, it was a great time, and the children, gave them an understanding and an appreciation of that, and it was an amazing time. We were supporting refugees, and the reactions we had from them. I remember very distinctly when we had an actual birthday of one of the refugees. And everyone was, they hadn't experienced that before, right? And we had people in the whole Syrian refugee community, and we had people from Leicester come and cakes and food and everything. And it was just just seeing that reaction on their faces, and that just the fact that we were celebrating someone that wasn't even I guess didn't feel a part of the community at that moment. It was just an amazing experience for myself and everyone there as well. So I think that's one of my first kind of early memories I have working with yourself and the first project that we had within within Leicester.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to just reflect back on that and think of that, because there are so many things we've done since, and actually to go back right to the start and see those kind of things and people coming together, and something as simple as, you know, a birthday being celebrated and actually lots of communities coming together, that diversity that we had in the room. The language barriers that were there, but actually a birthday was something that could be celebrated and enjoyed by all, regardless of what language you spoke and whether you spoke the same language as the person sitting next to you or not. So that was amazing.
I remember we were singing "Happy Birthday" to you in English, and they were like sitting there silently and smiling, right? Because they realized we were like singing for, out of happiness and just to kind of get the whole kind of atmosphere exciting and running well. So it was just nice. It was great. And these are the kind of projects that kind of I'm sure you'll come to some of the other projects that Outspoken has worked on, but I think these are the kind of projects that really make a difference, not only to the people within Leicester, but people who are from outside of this city or even this country. The kind of reactions that and the feedback Outspoken gets. It's something that really kind of inspires me personally as well to keep going.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think including everybody, if they're new to Leicester, regardless of whether they come from another city or another country, has been sort of our remit, as it were, as an organisation, that we've really tried to include people, and we've really wanted people to come and join us. And I know some of our volunteers were also new to Leicester, and the reason they volunteered for us because they felt included, they felt that they could come and join us, and they had something to offer, and it was recognising goodness in others. That can be shared through a community. So that's really something we wanted to celebrate. So thank you for sharing that experience. As you said, there have been lots of other programs as well that we've delivered. And as the weeks go on and we do this show, we'll be doing it monthly. We'll be sharing a little bit more about other projects as well that we've done. Just to remind the listeners out there, if you've just joined us, I'm just going to share the phone number with you so that you can call in or you can text in if you're listening. The phone number is 0116 4822 086. Or the mobile number is 07748 855 055. You can text or you can WhatsApp in, or you can ring us in live into the studio this morning, or this afternoon rather. So going back to sort of projects and other things, we've delivered quite a lot through community work. We've done food support during COVID times. Even before that, we were supporting the youth. We've done lots of work on the serious crime and violence strategy, and we still go out and do street engagement locally at Spinney Hill Park weekly, and that's something that's been going on for the last few years, and it's really, really important that we stay connected with the community, because that's where we find out about what the need is and how we can support them further. But today, I wanted to talk a little bit about these discussion sessions that we run, because there's something that are continuing. We're going to carry on. We had one last month. The topic for last month's was divorce, and we discussed life after divorce. And then the next one that's coming up is going to be on bullying, and we're going to be talking about sort of spotting the signs of bullying, what the effects are, and how we can maybe help others and support them during a time that they may feel isolated or lonely. So the topic for next month, so that's going to be on Monday, the 3rd of July at 7:30, and it's on Zoom, so it's online. So, please do try and connect with us. I'll give you an email address that you can connect with us for the Zoom link. So the email address is info@outspoken-rh.co.uk. So that's info@outspoken-rh.co.uk. So you can find us also on Facebook on Outspoken Community. So if you would like the Zoom link, do get in touch with us and we'll share that with you. And the next session, which our sessions are usually the first Monday of every month. So our next session is due on Monday, the 3rd of July at 7:30 on Zoom. So coming back to you, Brother Gul, I just want to ask you, so you held the discussion session for the men, whilst me and Shim hosted the session for the ladies. Can you talk to us a little bit about that session? Because I think it was your first experience of hosting an outspoken discussion in that way. I know you've attended some of our face-to-face sessions before COVID. How did you find it, and what did you learn from it?
It was an interesting topic, simply because of the kind of stories that you heard from the men and the experiences they've had to go through. And I kind of think a lot of it resonated with myself. And the discussion was, it was interesting simply because it allowed you to share your thoughts as well. So, with men, I don't know if it's different with women, but with men aren't that open to sharing their thoughts and feelings, right? So within this kind of domain where we had the discussion, I think because we had a group of men divorced, we had a young guy as well who wasn't, alhamdulillah, but he came on just to listen and hear about the experiences. But it was a great platform. Simply because sometimes guys need somewhere where they can kind of vent or just let out their feelings or their thoughts, which they just don't feel comfortable. This was a closed group. It was something that wasn't going to be shared outside of the group, and it was just very interesting just to hear the stories, the unedited story that someone felt just free to kind of narrate.
Okay, I'm just going to stop you there because I think we've got a call. So we'll take the call and then we'll carry on.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Hi, alaikum salam. It's Ada calling from Hertfordshire.
Oh, hi, you okay?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good to hear from you.
Good. Yep, you too. It's lovely to hear you guys. A friend of to say that you guys were hosting on the radio show. And I was actually at the last talk that you had on life after divorce, which I found quite enlightening. And also, I just wanted to share my views in relation to, you used the keyword saying connected with the community. And I find that talks like these or gatherings like these tend to hit the community much more quicker and faster than getting help outside. The session that I attended on life after divorce, not only was I able to connect with other people that may be going through the same problem, some of the other attendees also shared lots of links that, it would probably take you quite a long time to research all of these links and try to get help from outside. So I thought, this was quite good. And I have made a note of the next talk, which is on the 3rd, about bullying.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I think, absolutely, it's important that, you share your experiences. We're all about lived experience. So you're now sharing your experience of our discussion. And we really welcome to see you on the next one on Monday, the 3rd of July. I look forward to seeing you.
Thanks a lot for doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Keep supporting us.
Thank you. Yeah.
So there we're hearing from somebody who was at the discussion last month and absolutely, and not local to Leicester. So she was from Hertfordshire. So it's really, really good to know that we are reaching outside of Leicester and Leicestershire and Rutland. So further than that, we're getting to Hertfordshire.
We are reaching the UK.
We are. So I think it's so important, isn't it? Because I think when you look at it, what has just been said is that sometimes you're not able to reach out for that support. Sometimes you're not able to know where to start looking. Sometimes you don't even have the energy. But actually, just by sitting in a discussion with lots of other people who have shared similar experiences to you, you can start learning from each other, taking some pointers, thinking about, different links, different organizations that they've used and has worked for them. That's such a valuable thing, because actually you can go to an organization sometimes and it doesn't really work for you, and it really puts you off trying to reach out for help again. And it's really nice to hear the sister who rang in to say that, actually, we were able to support each other within that session. So some people you didn't know, but within that 1 hour session, support each other, share links, share different organization details so that people can reach out and get support if that's what they need after those sessions. So coming back to you, Brother Gul, we were talking about the session that you ran, and you've talked a little bit about what happened and the people that joined you. And I just wanted to touch on, you said that there was sort of younger people and older, and I think that we need to really highlight that this is open to everybody. So it didn't necessarily have to be that you had been divorced or you were sort of, your life is now life after divorce for you to join. Actually, it was an open discussion about divorce and life after divorce. And we did have people there that are either not married or married but not divorced, but also wanted to join in the discussion. And I think it's so important that we highlight that these discussions are open to all. It's about sharing your experience about what you know, but also what does society say about these issues? So what does society say about bullying, for instance, or if we were to do mental health, we know there's a lot of stigma around mental health. So people often don't want to talk about these things, but we have that open, safe platform where people can speak. But just from your experience, what do you think went really well, and what will you really enjoy about doing this again next time?
Just about the marriage
the session, just generally discussions.
Yeah, as I said, it allows the participants a platform where they can speak freely. There's no judgment, there's no discrimination, there's none of that kind of thing. Everyone is equal, and you can speak as freely as you want in confidence. And it's great because you alluded to the young chap. I mean, he's not even married, so he should be thinking about marriage as opposed to divorce. But this conversation and this discussion we had in the group will give him some insight on the experiences people have had in their lives, and hopefully, it'll be something that, for example, and I have to say there was none of this blame game that she did this or she did that or he did this or he did that. It was purely, what my experiences were, and for someone young that comes in. I think he would have taken away that these are the kind of things that I need to be aware of when I'm married, right? And the kind of things I need to avoid and kind of do something before it even gets to a stage of even thinking about separation or divorce, right? So it was really nice to have younger people there who, as I said, weren't part of this whole process of divorce, but just generally, I think it was a really engaging session. A lot of people had a lot to say about their experiences, and sometimes you do reflect on how have you even gotten into this stage, and just the narrative and the picture they kind of build up gives you an understanding. So these kind of sessions I think are great, simply because people from all backgrounds have that opportunity to kind of participate, listen, and understand what is really going on out there in the community, really. Because some of these kind of topics that we've covered and we are going to cover in the future are usually kind of taboo subjects, are usually brushed under the carpet, not only by the community, by community leaders and everything else. And this is why I believe there's a crisis in the community when we discuss these things, because they are not discussed where they should be discussed. And they're just something that happens to other people as opposed to, like a collective kind of thing. But
it's not happening in my house, so I won't worry about
Alhamdulillah, may Allah protect your house from that kind of fitna, but, it is.
But that's the mentality, isn't it? You often hear that's being said, don't you? Well, it's not happening in my house, so why am I going to worry about it? Actually, I don't need to go on that Zoom call because I'm never going to be divorced, or nobody in my family is going to divorce, so I don't need to know. And we hear this, don't we, all the time, and it's really, really unfortunate. But I do feel, and I'm going to sort of be a bit stereotypical here, but I do feel the younger generation do want to talk about things a bit more than we do as the older generation. They are more open to suggestions. They're more open to having a discussion, a debate. It can get quite heated sometimes. I've had, quite a lot of young people in a room, 40 plus, discussing a topic in the past, which they're really, really passionate about. And actually, there's so many different views and opinions on it, but they're happy to have that discussion. I think as the older generations maybe was much more difficult because things weren't spoken about. You weren't supposed to talk about things that weren't good. Try and talk about things that are positive and keep the negativity at bay, sweep it under the carpet. And I heard somebody say something really interesting just last week. I was having a conversation with a lady, and she said, let's just sweep things under the carpet until the carpet's touching the ceiling.
Oh, really?
And I thought, you know what, that's really interesting because but that's what we tend to do, isn't it? It's not just one issue we have under that carpet. There's plenty of issues under there that we don't want to talk about. But unfortunately, there are families struggling. There are young people struggling. There are women struggling. Absolutely. And there are men struggling because we don't want to talk about these issues. Where do people go? Where can they find that outlet where they can just discuss something that's bothering them. And if we don't have those spaces where they can talk about things, then we are going to struggle because people will suddenly be isolated and lonely. Mm-hmm. So I just want to come back to the phone number. So I was giving you a mobile number earlier. Unfortunately, the mobile number is not working currently. It's not active, so please do ring in. So unfortunately, you guys that love texting and WhatsApping, you're going to have to brave it out. You're going to have to ring in. So the number to call in is 0116 4822086. So please do call in and connect with us and share your thoughts about what we're talking about today, which is Outspoken Hour, and we're discussing how important it is to share. We have a call, and I can hear a little child, little baby in the background. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you? I know who that is. I can recognize that voice.
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah,
I was looking at the live.
Yeah? How's it looking?
And it reminded me about, it looks good and you look amazing with the flowery dress.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Dressed up specially. See, I knew I'd be on live as well, so I must dress up for that as well. So it's not just my voice that you hear, you get to see me as well. So no, thank you for joining us. I hope the boys are okay. What did you want to share with us today?
About the divorce topic that you brought earlier.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask one thing, like obviously people go through a lot of divorce and everything.
Yeah.
And obviously like they do appeals and everything. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult for them, like obviously to get divorced and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I know other people do get help and other people don't get help and stuff. Mm-hmm. What advice can you give them?
I think it's really important to have trusted people around you. I think that's the first thing, first of all. I think that it is difficult to get help. It is difficult to reach out. But I think for me, from my experience, it has been is reach out to trusted people. They may not necessarily know much about what you need right then, but they will be able to find out. So you'll have people around you that are informed in communities. They will have the right information and they'll be able to help you through processes. So not everything can be done by community workers or community volunteers. There are things that, solicitors may have to do. There are things that other people may have to get involved in. Sometimes we have to get GPs involved as well. So there's lots of things that need to happen. But I would say, first of all, find your trusted person that you would normally speak to and talk about what it is that you sort of want and need, and then look for a plan. What does that plan look like? I'm going to pass to Brother Gul to see if he would like to add anything.
Yeah, definitely. That's some good advice. But I think I'd just like to add also the fact that the divorce process can be one of the worst experiences of anyone's life. Mm-hmm. And when you ask someone what's the worst that's happened to you, this is usually something that falls at the top of the category. But as you stated, it's very important to have the right people if you are going to get involved, because you might have an understanding of what's going to happen when divorce happens, and there's a certain trajectory that happens during the whole process. And if you don't have the right people on there, and divorce can be very acrimonious, from both sides. And if you get the more people you get involved, the more acrimonious it becomes, which is why it's all about getting the right people. If you want to avoid all that headache, and these things can be dealt with at an easy level, or they can drag on for years, literally years. So, that's one of my, I would basically second what Sister Rukhsana said, is that you have to get the right people supporting you, and not just supporting you, but both parties, because this is about both parties. And if there are children involved as well, it becomes even a higher level of seriosity. So, you have to treat these things, at an intellectual level, as opposed to one of emotion. I know it's, it's kind of easy to say that, but, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of kind of vengeance, and there's a lot of kind of that kind of thinking when this whole thing happens. But unfortunately, that's the way it is. Yeah. So I definitely second that you do definitely need to have the right kind of network kind of supporting you in order to get a reasonably amicable and kind of result which has the minimum amount of impact on both parties, but especially for the children, if the children are involved.
And I think the other thing I just wanted to add as well is that it's such a long process that if you don't have the right people around you, it can get quite lonely as well. It gets really difficult. If you're thinking about, obviously you're living with somebody at the moment and then you're not going to be living with someone, that kind of breaking away, it is a process of grief that you're going to go through, because you're losing a person out of your life and you would have spent time with this person. So there's a lot that happens. And if you've got children, then you're trying to support children as well. well at the same time. So you need to be well yourself in order to look after your children. So I think there's quite a lot there. Every case will be individual to their
Absolutely.
own. Everybody will have their own reasons why they're still in, why they want to get out, why they haven't been able to get out before now, or if they have made that choice now to get out, is what the next steps are. So everybody is individual, but I would say to anybody listening out there who is struggling or is thinking about those things, is sit with somebody you trust, talk to them, find out what it is that you actually want. And the best advice I think I could give to anybody struggling with anything is first find out who you are. Because once you understand who you are and what is important in your life and what your own beliefs and values are and what you need in your life, then you start to understand why it is that that person in your life is not the right person, or how that person should be treating you, and therefore how it could possibly work. And if that person doesn't meet the beliefs and values that you have, and they're not adjoined, and they're not connected, then it becomes really difficult to live a life with somebody who's just on a different path or a different journey to you. So I hope that helps. I hope that's been useful. But thank you very much for getting in touch.
Thank you for calling.
That's true. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Assalamu alaikum. So there we go. So, a call with some, really important questions. And really, it gets me really emotional, I think, sometimes when we start talking about these things, because it's so important. It's really difficult without knowing the full story how to advise. But the biggest thing I think has to be is we need to listen to people. If you've got a friend or you've got somebody who's struggling and they're trying to talk to you about their concerns, or they've got some challenges they're facing at the moment, please listen to them. Don't advise them straight away. Just try and understand what it is that they need and try to help them in a way by just listening to understand. We said it right at the beginning. We want everyone to have a safe space where they feel they're heard and that they're understood. And I think that has to be the first step of supporting anybody. It's not just about jumping in and saying, I've got a solicitor's number, I've got so-and-so's number, oh, you must go here, you must try and get out, you must do this. We can't just be jumping into that. We need to be supportive. So please listen to somebody who's sharing something so important that's part of their life with you, and do make sure that we remain confidential as well, and that we don't share everything that we're told with other people. If somebody is confiding in you, it is confidential. Keep it to yourself and just support that person. We are coming sort of towards the end. We've got about just over 10 minutes left of the show. Again, the number, I'm just going to share it in case somebody else has missed it and they want to call in. It's 0116 4822 086. You can call in live at the studio with me and Brother Gul, and we're happy to answer your questions or just take comments. And we're talking about Outspoken, so it's the Outspoken Hour. And we are a community organisation that runs in Leicester. And from what we've heard today, we're actually wider than Leicester. So we had a call in from Hertfordshire from the sister. So it's lovely to hear from people outside of Leicester that are benefiting from the support that we offer as well. So coming back to what we do offer and what we do, we've done lots of programs in the past, and I'm not going to touch on the past programs for now, just because we only have short time. But in terms of what we would like to do moving forward and the things that we are planning, so we have the discussions. They happen every month, the first Monday of every month at 7:30. They will be on Zoom for now, but we are hoping to hold some that will be face-to-face locally in Leicester. So do look out for them, and you can find the details on our Facebook page, Outspoken Community, or you can connect with us through email, which is info@outspoken-rh.co.uk. So find us on Facebook or connect with us by email, and we're happy to share details with you. And we also have WhatsApp groups, so we can also add you to that once we've got you connected with you through email or Facebook community. Just let us know other topics that you would like as well. So if anybody wants to call in and thinks there's a really important topic that needs to be discussed and they don't think it's been discussed, or they would like us to discuss it, do let us know. We're always happy to open to suggestions, and we always keep a list of things that people have brought up in the past, and we do try and cover those. So we try and do at least once a month, and we tend to do a few more face-to-face if we can throughout the year. I'll definitely be reaching out to the youth. So youth out there, if you're listening, if there's anything that you would like discussed, or you think there's something really important that needs discussing at the moment, please do get in touch with us, and we will be happy to set up a one-off face-to-face with young people in Leicester to listen to the issues or challenges they may be facing currently and how we can support them. So I'm going to just come to Brother Gul because like I said, we've just got about 10 minutes left. And we're not going to quite finish yet. But just in terms of community commitment, Brother Gul, so you've supported Outspoken over the last sort of 7 years with lots of different projects. What is it that it takes to support a community? What kind of person do you need to be, or what is it that you've been willing to do to be able to support your community? What does it take to help?
Just time, really. There's just so much happening out there. We're not living in these are not easy times. With the cost of living and the crises in family, relationships, and the young people and their kind of issues ongoing, etc. That kind of thing. So we live in very difficult times, and one of the things I've kind of realized is that I've gone through quite a bit myself, and one of the ways I could escape this kind of thing was to kind of volunteer to help, and for me it put things into perspective that whatever I may be going through, there's situations far worse that other people are going through, and that in a way kind of gave me kind of solace that things are not that bad. Things may be bad, but they're not that bad. So there's a lot of problems in our community, and I think what I would really suggest and recommend people to do is just dedicate some time to the community, to join a charity, join a voluntary group, join an and even if it means 1 hour, 1 hour a week, or even 1 hour a month. How many people do we have in this city, in our community? We must have like tens of thousands, right? Yeah. And if every single one of those people committed or dedicated an hour of their time to support, helping somebody in the community who is less privileged as they are, I think we will kind of start making a real difference, because only the community can help the community. There's only the state and government, etc. They can help to a certain extent, but if you need money, I mean, there's benefits, etc. But at the end of the day, when people are going through things like depression or loneliness or crises internally, they need people, right? Yeah. They need an ear. They need someone there, sometimes physically there in front of them, so that they can actually reduce that burden. And I think just having an ear to listen to sometimes makes a big impact to people. It can completely kind of change their whole kind of persona from being someone who's like bottled something up and now it's out there. And just something as simple as that. So for me, it'd be what I would really suggest is that people get out there and do, dedicate an hour of your time, to something which is community wide, etc., that kind of thing. And I think that will really benefit not only you, but definitely the people and the community that you are kind of trying to help.
Brilliant. I think that's really important. And like you said, it's just an hour. So an hour a week or an hour a month is not really a lot of our time. Yeah. And actually the important point about listening, that can we just lend an ear to someone? Can we just listen? And I say just listen, but the value in listening is huge, to listen to someone, for someone to feel understood, to feel heard. I've said it a few times today, and I always talk about this because it is so important. Because when people go through their challenges and they find themselves feeling lonely or isolated, it's because everybody that they've spoken to before then hasn't understood their challenge. They haven't really listened. All they've done is given them a word of advice or told them to forget about it, or don't worry about it, it will sort itself out. And we know that problems don't just sort themselves out. They don't just go away. They don't disappear. We have to action things if we want things to change. And unfortunately, sometimes, and I would sort of speak personally from sort of cultures, is that the cultures that we come from, sometimes from the culture, it's, it'll be fine. Just, either pray and it'll be okay, or just forget about it. Tomorrow, wake up, you'll feel better. Some things, yes, absolutely. If I'm stressed about work, I know I've got another day tomorrow where I can do my work. It's not a huge stress. But when we're talking about things like isolation, when we're talking about mental health conditions, when we're talking about people going through, relationship issues, when we're talking about bullying, when we're talking about those kind of challenges, they're not things that when they wake up in the morning, they're going to be going away, or that the next day they can just resolve them by waking up a little bit fresher. They're the kind of things that actually need people. And you're right, you can have all the money in the world, can't you? But actually, if you don't have a person to listen to you, you don't have a person to support you, that money isn't valuable. That money can't do anything. Yeah. So can we value people? So can we be valuable to others? But also, have we got valuable people in our lives is another question maybe we need to think about and ask as well. So I'm going to come back to you, Brother Gul. A couple of more things to share before we sort of close. What would you like to share in terms of the value of people around us?
Look, we have an amazingly diverse community, and there's a lot that we can learn from the community as well, and that involves engagement. Well, being a bit more of a. I know it's easy. Some people are like, they don't like being that social element, or whatever, but just even simply going into a mosque and doing salam and speaking with people, that kind of relieves. Some, as you said, some people just need interaction, which they haven't had. And I just thought of when we were doing this food project during the pandemic. And we were it was a time when people were not allowed to leave their houses, and there were old people, there were single mothers and fathers, there were ill people who were unable to get hot food. So one of the projects that we started in within Outspoken was to distribute food within the community for these vulnerable people. So the main aim of that was providing food and making sure that they were nourished and they had food on the table. But a few times when I was kind of engaging with these people, the old people, they'd start talking to me about things, right? And they'd start telling me things, and I had an hour that I needed to get through, so I could go to the other kind of my other tasks, etc. But I ended up spending sometimes a couple of hours with these people simply because they wanted to, kind of explain their situation and the problems that they were going to, and it gave me an opportunity not just kind of help them with. They might have the food element, but their personal problems, or their son wasn't in contact with them. What could we do? So involved getting the mosque involved, or some community leaders, for example. And these are the kind of things that kind of I think people need to just kind of take on board and start. Don't live an insular life. Go out there, engage. Speak to people. Just say hello. How are you? And that may just start off a whole flood of conversation. And you may end up helping someone in a situation that they had no idea that was something that could potentially have been resolved, because maybe you were the conduit through which someone's problem was going to be resolved.
Absolutely. I think that what you really reminded me of is sometimes people don't really need an answer, or they don't need a solution. All they really want is just someone to listen to them and say, wow, that sounds really difficult. Oh my God, you're going through that all on your own. Like, is there anything I can do to help? And regardless of whether they ask for help or they take the offer of help, they actually just want someone to listen to them. And I think what you're describing is that the loneliness that people felt in COVID, and whilst we were providing hot food for people who couldn't cook for themselves because they were too unwell, I remember we had a lady who had lost her husband, so she was now living on her own, but she couldn't leave the house due to her religious belief. So she wasn't going to be leaving the house, so she wasn't able to go out to do her regular shopping. And while she had extended family, she still needed that hot meal that nobody was providing for her. So there were so many opportunities for us really as a community organisation to support people. But actually what you did was go above and beyond. You went that extra mile, and what you did was you spent time with them, you talked to them, you listened to them, and you just offered them a listening ear just for that time when they needed it.
And it wasn't a big thing. I mean, personally, it wouldn't even cross my mind that I did anything, kind of great or whatever. But it's for someone else, it might be the highlight of their day or their week, right? We don't realize it because we live in a different lifestyle and etc. But kind of thing. But for somebody else, you may make that difference in their lives, and that's the kind of thing we need to, as a community, do, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what it is. What we do is so small, and actually for people like me and you, I think, Brother Gul, who like talking anyway, and actually don't. I don't believe that for a minute. People like me, I'll own that. People like me who love people. I absolutely love people who love community, who love being out. I'm literally like a social butterfly. I need to be everywhere and anywhere. And anywhere there's something happening, usually I'm in the middle of it. So I think for me, definitely, and I think I will include Brother Gul in this as well, that we are good with people because we actually value people for who they are. We don't expect anything from them. What we want is, can we offer them something from ourselves that will make their lives a little bit better? And you touched on it a little bit earlier around gratitude. Sometimes you listen to somebody else's story and you realize how grateful you are for the life that you have. Whilst we have our own challenges and we have our own difficulties that we go through, actually there is somebody else who's suffering a little bit more than we are right now. So I think for me, absolutely just touching on that sort of gratitude and just being grateful for what we have. And if I've got, the gift of the gab, as it were. If I can talk and listen and I can support people, and people like to be in my presence or be around me, or they want me to go over and see them. I messaged a friend earlier today and I said that I would go and see her later on and go for a walk, those kind of things. Like I did say to her, if I can, so that it's not a promise, but she knows that I'm thinking of her and she knows that I want to offer her that time if I can. So if I can get back home at a good time today, this evening, we will be going out for a walk. And that 5 or 10 minutes just walking around the block with her will hopefully mean so much more to her than the 10 minutes it takes out of my day. And we just need to do a few more things like that, I think.
And I think just the last thing I want to say is that this is a message to the people out there, is do something for somebody without the expectation of taking anything from them.
Yeah.
That's where the difference is. And you will do it freely.
Yeah.
You will do it without any conditions or any expectations. Just do it, get out there, do something, and don't expect anything in return.
Brilliant. Yeah, so absolutely. Let's go with that then as our final message for everyone, is that if you're going to do anything, do it consistently, even if it's so small. Do it for somebody else without expectation. Thank you very much for listening. You've been listening